Welcome back, everybody. We're going to do a deep dive today into Christmas bells. So from its origins in the heart of a grieving poet to modern interpretations.
Okay.
Like that incredible AI-generated piece
Oh, yeah.
by Dreamlarking.
That's a cool one. Yeah.
Saw that one, right?
Yeah, I did.
Really cool.
Yeah.
So we're going to explore the life of Henry Wadsworth Longfellow.
Okay.
The turbulent times of the Civil War and the long history of Christmas carols that kind of set the stage for this piece.
Right. So a lot of different things feeding into this one, yeah.
Yeah, a lot of context to unpack here.
Understanding Longfellow's personal journey is key to kind of grasping the depth of the emotion in Christmas bells.
Yeah.
He wasn't just a popular poet, he was like a literary giant of his time.
Oh, yeah.
Honored alongside like the greats, in Westminster Abbey's Poets' Corner.
Wow.
He even met Queen Victoria.
That's a pretty impressive resume.
It is.
But his life was marked by some pretty profound tragedies, too.
Yeah, unfortunately.
That really influenced his work.
They definitely did.
Yeah.
Longfellow experienced loss on a scale that's just hard to imagine.
Yeah.
His first wife, Mary, passed away in 1835 after a miscarriage.
Oh, wow.
And then years later, he faced another devastating blow.
Yeah.
In 1861, his second wife, Fanny, died.
Oh, my gosh.
From burns she suffered in a fire at their home.
Oh, that's terrible.
Awful.
And all of this was happening, like, right as the Civil War
Yeah.
is tearing the nation apart.
Right, so all this personal tragedy playing out while the nation itself is going through this horrible crisis.
Yeah, like just layer upon layer of grief and anxiety.
His son Charles was also severely wounded while serving in the Union Army in 1863.
Oh, wow.
And Christmas Bells emerges directly from this, crucible of personal and national anguish.
Yeah, so it's Christmas Day, 1863.
Okay.
The Civil War is raging on Longfellow. He was reeling from the loss of his wife and filled with anxiety for his son.
Heavy.
Yeah, it's a heavy, somber scene.
Yeah, it is. You can feel that weight in the poem's opening lines.
Okay.
He hears the bells ringing out, playing, those old familiar carols.
Right.
But there's this, stark dissonance between the festive sounds and his inner turmoil.
Okay.
So he writes, and in despair I bowed my head. There is no peace on earth, I said.
So the joy associated with the season is clashing with the harsh realities surrounding him.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it.
He even goes on to say, "For hate is strong and mocks the song of peace on earth, goodwill to men." Like, you can just sense how deeply the war is impacting him, even on a day that's meant for celebration.
Right, it doesn't take a holiday.
Yeah.
That contrast is really central to the poem's power,
Yeah.
Those bells, so symbolic of, Christmas and the hope it represents, are almost drowned out by the, he says, the cannon thundered in the south.
Oh.
Longfellow captures the feeling of a nation divided, where the message of peace on earth feels like a distant, almost impossible dream.
That image of carols being drowned by the sounds of war is just so vivid.
It is. It's powerful imagery.
It really drives home the point that even during, holidays, conflict and suffering don't just vanish.
Exactly. Longfellow doesn't shy away from the darkness, but he also refuses to let it consume him.
Right.
Even in the depths of despair, he clings to a glimmer of hope, symbolized by those persistent bells.
And that's where I heard the bells on Christmas Day comes in, right?
Yeah.
The carol adapted from
the poem,
Longfellow's poem. But it's interesting how many versions of the carol omit the verses.
Yeah.
Specifically about the Civil War.
Yeah.
Like, it's almost as if...
Trying to keep it light.
Yeah, we want to focus on the hopeful message without acknowledging the struggle.
Yeah.
That led to it.
It's like a sanitized version.
Yeah.
The carol was set to music by John Baptiste Calkin in 1872.
Okay.
It often emphasizes those triumphant closing verses, where the bells ring out. Yeah. With renewed strength, proclaiming God is not dead, nor doth he sleep.
Right.
And the wrong shall fail, the right prevail with peace on earth, goodwill to men.
Yeah, you can practically hear those soaring melodies.
You can.
It's no surprise that the carol became so popular.
Yeah.
Especially during times of hardship like World War I and World War II.
People really needed that message of hope and resilience
more
than ever during those times.
I heard the bells taps into a universal human need.
Yeah.
The yearning for comfort and reassurance.
Yeah.
Especially during difficult times.
Yeah, exactly.
But it's vital to remember that the carol,
Right.
Just like the poem
It is.
was born from immense suffering.
Yeah,
Its optimism isn't naive.
Right.
It's a hard-won faith
Hard-won.
that endures despite adversity.
Right. It's not toxic positivity. It's real.
Yeah, exactly.
It's earned.
Speaking of resilience, let's shift gears for a moment and explore the broader history of Christmas carols. Did you know they have roots that stretch all the way back to ancient Rome?
Yeah, they do.
Wow. So the earliest known Christmas hymns, originating in 4th century Rome, were quite different from the cheerful carols.
Yeah, they were.
Often here today.
Yeah, a lot more somber.
Yeah.
Primarily focused on theological doctrines.
Right.
Like Veni Redemptor Gentium by Ambrose of Milan.
So a bit more serious and a lot less about reindeer and presents.
Yeah.
Yeah.
These early hymns were primarily intended for liturgical settings.
Okay.
But as Christianity spread, the nature of carols began to evolve.
Okay, so this is where things get really interesting.
It does.
So tell us about how these carols started to become more, festive.
Yeah, so around the 13th century, figures like Francis of Assisi began popularizing carols sung in local languages, moving them beyond the exclusive domain of the church.
So they become more accessible for everyday people.
Yeah,
I love it.
And that shift was crucial.
Yeah.
Carols transformed in communal songs, often sung during celebrations like harvest festivals.
Oh, wow.
They were like the popular music of their day.
That's an amazing evolution.
Yeah.
From solemn hymns to communal songs.
Yeah.
And I read that collections like Pie Canciones, published in 1582, played a significant role in preserving and spreading carols even further.
Yeah, Pie Canciones was a big one.
Wow, Pie Canciones.
Think of them as like the greatest hits album of the Renaissance era.
Okay.
They featured early versions of carols that we still sing today, like Good King Wenceslas.
Oh, wow.
And Good Christian Men Rejoice. Imagine caroling with those tunes back then.
It's like a history lesson through song.
It is.
Right. And then after the Reformation,
Yeah.
carols experienced another surge in popularity, particularly in Protestant churches.
Reformers like Martin Luther championed congregational singing.
Okay.
And carols became an integral part of Protestant worship.
So we've got carols evolving from solemn hymns to communal songs being spread through printed collections.
It's a fascinating story.
Yeah, but where does that leave us with Christmas bells and its legacy today?
Well, that's a great question.
Yeah.
And it's one we'll delve into further in the next part of our deep dive.
Okay.
But for now, I want to leave you with this thought. How do you think Christmas bells, born from such darkness, continues to resonate with us today? What gives this poem and its carol adaptation such enduring power?
That's a really good question.
It is.
Yeah, it really is incredible how a work born from such personal and national turmoil could evolve into a symbol of hope and celebration.
Yeah, it speaks to the enduring power of art and how it can help us kind of process these, difficult emotions, like these slivers of light even in the darkest of times.
Yeah, Christmas bells, both the poem and the carols, serve as this potent reminder that even amid chaos and despair, hope can persevere.
And that resilience, really resonates across generations.
It does.
It's no wonder that even today, I Heard the Bells on Christmas Day is performed by countless artists from, Bing Crosby to the Carpenters.
Oh, wow.
It's even found new life in projects like the 2022 film I Heard the Bells, which dramatizes, Longfellow's life and the poem's creation.
It's a testament to the poem's enduring power. Speaking to a universal human experience.
Yeah.
The struggle to find hope and meaning when facing adversity.
Right. So we've talked about Longfellow's life, the poem itself, its adaptation into this beloved carol, and even touched upon the early history of carols, but there's so much more to the story.
Let's rewind a bit. We know that those early Roman hymns were deeply rooted in theological doctrine.
Okay.
When did things start to shift? When did carols become less about solemn pronouncements and more about communal celebration?
Well, as Christianity expanded beyond the Roman Empire, carols began to kind of reflect the diverse cultures and languages, of the people. This shift toward vernacular languages.
Okay.
Songs in the language of everyday people.
Right.
That was a pivotal moment.
So it's not just about the words themselves, but also who's singing them and in what context.
Yeah, exactly. And that's where figures like Francis of Assisi played such a vital role.
Right.
He was instrumental in popularizing carols in the 13th century,
Okay.
encouraging people to kind of express their faith through song in their native languages?
It's as if he helped bring carols out of the grand cathedrals and into the streets,
Yeah.
where everyone could participate.
That's a great way to put it.
Yeah.
These carols weren't confined to church services anymore. They became a part of everyday life, sung during celebrations like harvest festivals and weddings.
Imagine that.
Yeah.
Carols becoming interwoven with the fabric of community life.
Yeah, and this evolution kind of continued over the centuries. Printed collections, like the 1582 P.A. Cantiones.
Oh, yeah.
Help preserve and spread these songs, ensuring that, carols became a lasting tradition.
We also see those traditions were shaped by major historical events like the Reformation.
Yeah, the Reformation led to a surge in congregational singing.
Okay.
Especially in Protestant churches.
Right.
Reformers like Martin Luther really recognized the power of music to engage people in worship.
Right.
Luther even wrote his own carols and encouraged the use of hymns and carols in the German language.
Okay.
Further solidifying, their role in Protestant traditions.
So carols went from solemn Latin hymns to lively communal songs, found new life in printed collections.
Yeah.
And were then embraced by the Protestant Reformation.
It's amazing.
They were constantly adapting and evolving.
Precisely. And that adaptability is a key reason for, their enduring popularity.
Right.
Christmas carols have this remarkable ability to kind of reflect the cultural and historical context in which they're sung.
Right.
They're like musical time capsules carrying these echoes of the past into the present.
I like that.
But it's important to remember that not all carols kind of fit neatly into the religious mold.
Right.
Some have rather unconventional origins.
Yeah, we did mention that some carols seem to have more secular roots, right?
Yes, not all carols are strictly religious.
Okay.
Some like "A Bone God Wat" from the 16th century really kind of blur the lines between the sacred and the secular, sounding more like a boisterous tavern song than a traditional hymn.
It's a good reminder that even during the holidays, people need to let loose and have a good time.
Right.
And music was a big part of those festivities.
It was. So
we've got centuries of carols, from those solemn Latin hymns to rowdy drinking songs.
Yeah, it's a range.
Right.
That's for sure.
All reflecting cultural shifts, religious movements, and the simple human need for celebration.
Exactly. But let's not forget the impact of those two world wars. How did carols fit into those turbulent times?
That's a great question. I imagine during both World War I and World War II, carols must have taken on an even deeper significance.
Yeah.
Becoming sources of comfort and solace for people facing, unimaginable hardship.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. Think about, soldiers far from home, huddled in trenches, finding a moment of respite in singing, familiar carols together.
Right.
Or families, gathered around a crackling radio listening to broadcasts of Silent Night.
Yeah.
Just like a brief escape from the anxieties of wartime.
It's a testament to the emotional power of music, its ability to transcend physical boundaries and create a sense of connection when people feel isolated and afraid.
Right, and that connection is even more powerful, during the holidays when traditions and rituals kind of help us navigate these difficult emotions and find meaning in, shared experiences. Carols served as these beacons of hope during those dark days of war, reminding people of, these enduring values like peace, love, and community.
And that brings us back to Christmas bells and its relevance in our lives today.
Right.
We've explored Longfellow's personal struggles, the context of the Civil War, and this rich and multifaceted history of Christmas carols.
It's a lot to think about.
It is, but what does it all mean for us, the listeners, in the here and now?
That's a great question. What can we take away from this deep dive into Christmas bells and the world of carols?
Yeah, it's amazing to think about how these songs born from these specific moments in history can still speak to us today.
Yeah.
What is it about Christmas bells and other carols that give them this enduring power across time and cultures?
It's their ability to tap into those fundamental human emotions. Longfellow's Christmas bells gives voice to despair and doubt and ultimately hope. These are feelings we all grapple with, regardless of, the era we live in.
It's that raw honesty, the acknowledgement of the darkness that makes the eventual affirmation of hope.
It does.
Feels so earned and authentic.
Yeah.
Right.
It's not just like a sugary sentiment. It's a hard-won truth.
And that's where the true power of art lies.
Yeah.
In its ability to express the complexities of human experience,
Yes.
offer solace and connection, and to remind us that we're not alone in our struggles.
It does all of that.
And carols with their singable melodies
Yeah.
and familiar lyrics
Yeah.
become woven into our personal and collective memories, our traditions. They link us to the past, to our families and communities, and even to those strangers we stand beside in a candlelit church.
That's true.
There's something profound about the communal act of singing,
Yeah.
especially during the holidays.
Right.
It's a way of sharing emotions, reinforcing shared values,
It is.
and creating a sense of belonging.
That sense of belonging is incredibly powerful, especially in a world that can often feel, fragmented and isolating.
Right. The best carols remind us of our shared humanity,
They do.
our capacity for compassion and hope,
Yeah.
even when things are tough.
And that brings us back to you, the listener.
Okay.
Think about what we've explored today. Longfellow's life,
Yeah.
the poem Christmas Bells, and this fascinating evolution of carols through history.
Right.
How do you connect with their message of hope,
Yeah.
especially during challenging times?
Yeah.
What keeps these songs alive for us?
Is it the comfort of tradition? The beauty of the melodies? The power of Longfellow's words reminding us that God is not dead nor doth he sleep?
Right.
Yeah, whatever the reason, it's clear that these songs continue to hold a special place in our hearts.
They do.
They offer a timeless message of hope and resilience that transcends generations and cultures.
Yeah, they really do.